All right, welcome to 1D homework. So make sure you are trying these problems prior to checking your answers here and seeing how things are worked out. You don't really gain any knowledge from just copying things down if you don't actually try it yourself. That's where you know if you're struggling or not, by actually trying on your own. So okay, let's work these out. So we're going to write an equation that is perpendicular. So perpendicular means we need to find the slope, and then we need to do the opposite sign and do the reciprocal. So we already have in y equals mx plus b form. So the m, that's the slope, so 7 over 2. So perpendicular slope would be negative 2 over 7. So change the sign, flip the numerator and denominator, so that's reciprocal. And we have to have it pass through negative 3, 4. So that's our x and y. I'm going to put it in point slope form first. So point slope is y minus the y1 from our first coordinate here equals the slope, negative 2/7, times x minus negative 3. Minus negative 3 is plus 3. And there we go. There's point slope form. From point slope form, we are going to now change this to slope intercept form. Slope intercept form, we have to have it in y equals mx plus b. So there's no parentheses, so we have to get rid of the parentheses, and this minus 4 on the left side needs to also be moved because it's y equals, not y minus 4 equals. So first I'm going to move the parentheses, so I'm going to distribute. So it's negative 2/7 times x is negative 2/7 x. Negative 2/7 times 3 is a negative 6 over 7. Now we need to add the 4. So the parentheses are gone, so we got to add 4. We get y equals negative 2/7 x. We need to put the negative 6/7 and 4 and plus 4 together. I'm going to make the denominator 7 to get those like terms. Let's do this off to the side. Negative 6/7 plus 28 over 7. That's 22 over 7. So plus 22 over 7. There's slope intercept, so our slope is negative 2/7, and our y-intercept is 22/7. Pretty ugly slope intercept form. Now standard form. Let's get this to standard form. To standard form, you have to have ax plus by equals c. So we need the x and y terms on the same side, and a, b, and c are always integers, no decimals. So I need to multiply by, look at the denominator, and if we multiply by the denominators, in this case it would be the least common multiple, but in the case it's the denominator 7. So 7 times y is 7y. 7 times a negative, so we're going to put it over 1. So 7 times negative 2 is negative 14 over 1 times 7 is 7. X. 7 times 22 is 154 over 7. So let's simplify each one of those fractions. That's negative 2x. 154 over 7 is 22. All right, the denominators are gone. Now we are going to get we need to get the x and y term together. So we're going to add 2x to get the x term, and the 7 is a positive, and the y term on the same side. So 2x plus 7y equals 22. And there's standard form. All right, next problem, parallel. So a parallel, we're going to need the same slope. First we need to put it in slope intercept form. That's going to be the easiest way to find the slope. So I'm going to subtract 5x to move it to the opposite side of the y term. 3y's comes down to negative 5x. It's a positive 10, so I'm going to write plus 10 divided by 3. And at this point, I can tell the slope. The slope is negative 5/3. So slope is negative 5/3. And we need parallel, so we need the same slope. Perfect. And now we need to go through the point 5/2, negative 2. So point slope form is y minus a negative 2, which is plus 2, equals negative 5/3 times x minus the x1. Man, that 5/2, that's going to be fun. All right, slope intercept form. Now we got to change the slope intercept form. So I'm going to have y plus 2. So we're going to have to distribute to get rid of the parentheses, or I have to subtract 2. First, I'm going to distribute. Negative times a negative is a positive. 25, multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators. And now we have to subtract 2. I'm going to put it over 1. We're going to multiply by 6. Let's do this off to the side. So 25/6 minus 12/6. That's 13/6. So plus 13/6 is your y-intercept. So y equals negative 5/3 x. If you're not understanding how to add and subtract fractions or multiplying fractions, please at least put it in Desmos to get the answers. Try and then hit the button for fractions. To get it in standard form, we need to get rid of the denominators. So I'm looking at my denominators. So I have 3 and 6. My least common denominator is 6. If you didn't see that and you want to just multiply the denominators by multiply the denominators, 3 times 6 is 18. 18 will work also. I'm going to choose the smallest denominator that I can multiply by. That'll get rid of the fractions. So between 3 and 6, 6 is the least common multiplier. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 6, 12. 6 is the smallest. So if you multiply by 6 and distribute it, what's going to happen is your denominators are all going to go away. So that's 6, that's 78/6. You might be like, wait a second, the denominators aren't gone. Well, they will. Simplifying them, you will get 13, and there you go. Now we just need the x and y terms on the same side of the equal sign. So standard form is 10x. 10x plus 6y equals 13. And then, okay, the next one passes through the point 1, negative 5, and it's perpendicular line that goes through. So this is kind of backwards. You gotta find out the slope of those 2 points. And so how I'm going to do that is I'm going to label them. I'm going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So first coordinate, second coordinate. And I'm going to do the slope y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we have, that's going to be negative 2 minus 2, negative 7 minus 3. So that's negative 4 over negative 10, which will end up being positive 2/5 when it's reduced. Divide numerator and denominator by negative 2. Or by 2, and then you have a negative divided by negative as a positive. All right, and now we have to look at this point that's given to us, 1, negative 5. So if we have a slope and we have a point, you can get it in point slope form. So it's y minus negative 5, so that's plus 5, equals the slope times x minus the x1. Slope intercept form, we need to change that so it's we need to get rid of the parentheses, so we're distributing. And then we need to subtract 5. At very least, do this in Desmos. I'm going to work that out on a side note. So negative 2/5 minus 5. Put 5 over 1. We need to get like denominator, so I'm going to multiply by 5 over 5. So negative 2/5 minus 25 over 5. Negative 2 minus 25 is negative 27 over 5. So I'm going to put that into the y-intercept. And there is slope-intercept. Now we need to change that to standard form, so we need to multiply. So I'm going to multiply this times, look at my denominators, 5 and 5, so I'm going to multiply by 5 and distribute that in. So I get 5y equals 5 over 1 is 10 over 5x minus 5 times 27 is 135 over 5. Simplifying each fraction. And then move in the x term so it's in standard form. Standard form again, the x and y terms need to be on the same side. So there's standard form. And number 4, perpendicular line shown, and I believe the point that I chose in class was 5, 0. So we're going to first find the slope. So I'm going to pick 2 points. So pick those 2 points to be up 2 to the right 1. So 2 over 1 is your slope, which is 2. And perpendicular, so the perpendicular is going to be 2 over 1, which is 1 over 2. And it was positive, so it'll become negative. And then we have the point 5, 0. So point slope form will be y minus 0 equals negative 1/2 x minus 5. Well, y minus 0 is just y. Well, we can just leave it there. For slope-intercept form, let's change that. Let's simplify it a little. Slope-intercept form, well, y minus 0 is just y. And then we need to get rid of the parentheses. Distribute negative 1/2 times x, negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 5 is a positive 5 over 2. There's slope-intercept form. Now standard form. Multiply, let's look at the denominators. We have 2 and 2, so we can multiply by 2. That is the least common denominator, or least common multiple of the denominator. So 2 distributed in, 2y. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 over 2. 2 times 5 is 10 over 2. And standard form, we need to add the x term. So you have 1x, which is just x. That 2y is positive, so plus 2y equals 5. 1 times x is x. So there's our standard form. And the last one, parallel to the line, 4x minus 2y equals 8, and the same y-intercept as the line. Okay, so parallel, that's our first part. To find a parallel, it means we need to have a slope. So we got to get slope here. So the slope, to find the slope of this equation, we can't find it in standard form. We need to get its slope-intercept form. So I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to put the x term first, and then plus 8. Divide by negative 2 on every term. Anytime you multiply or divide, you have to multiply or divide every term by that. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2x. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So here's my slope, is 2. So 2 is my slope, and we're going to be parallel, so we're going to use that slope of 2. Same y-intercept. is 5x plus 3y. So we have to find the y-intercept. We're going to get it into slope-intercept form. It's the only way I've really showed you to get it in the slope-intercept form to get the y-intercept. There are other ways, like you can set the x equal to 0 and solve. But I think this way is just as quick. So your y-intercept, y equals mx plus b. This is your b, your y-intercept. Is -5. So your y-intercept is 0, -5. Well, for slope-intercept form, we already have that. Here's your slope, and here's your y-intercept. So 2x minus 5. For point slope form, if you want the point, there's your point. So it's y minus -5, so it's plus 5, equals 2 times x minus 0. And standard form, we're going to move x and y terms to one side. The y is positive, so I'm going to write plus. And there's our standard form. So no decimals, no fractions, and the x and y terms are on one side. All right, hopefully this made sense. Please come to class with any questions. You'll have the test in the next probably 2 or 3 classes from now. So this is 1D. You have a quiz next class on this.